Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
Imagine standing in a room full of people and speaking your truth, your fears, your hopes, your confession of a tender wound, and hearing nothing in return. Not a nod, not a glance. Not even the smallest sign that you were acknowledged. Silence. It is quiet yet deafening. Invisible yet palpable. And in that stillness, something shifts inside you, a slow, creeping sense that maybe, just maybe, you do not matter. Here's the paradox. The human mind can endure physical pain with a measured tolerance. Yet emotional silence, the cold withdrawal of acknowledgement, hurts far more profoundly. Researchers in social psychology have shown that being ignored activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. The sting of neglect, the freeze of abandonment is not metaphorical. It is chemical. It is biological. Your body reacts before your mind even fully comprehends what is happening. And yet society tells us to get over it, to forgive, to move on. But when silence becomes the language of someone you care about, moving on feels impossible. Because silence is not empty. Silence speaks. And what it whispers is often unbearable. This is not just about hurt feelings. It is about emotional intelligence. Your ability to read human signals, your capacity for empathy, your resilience in the face of relational ambiguity. When someone ignores you, it triggers more than loneliness. It triggers vulnerability, that raw, unshielded state where your mind says, I am invisible, and your heart whispers, I am rejected. Yet it is precisely in these moments of silent betrayal that you have the greatest opportunity to practice self-awareness, to understand the hidden dynamics of connection, and to reclaim your own voice. You see, vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is seeing, feeling, and naming what others refuse to acknowledge. And in understanding the psychology behind being ignored, you reclaim power, not over them, but over yourself. You have felt this. That chilling moment when a text you sent, carefully worded and honest, disappears into the void. Hours pass, then a day. You check again, nothing. And somewhere in your chest, a small flame of doubt ignites. Silence is a mirror. It reflects not only how others treat you, but how you treat yourself. When someone ignores you, it forces you to confront questions you may have buried long ago. Am I enough? Did I overstep? Do I even deserve to be seen? Imagine standing on a frozen lake. The ice beneath your feet is solid at first, but the longer you linger, the more you notice the cracks forming under pressure. That is what silence does. It exposes the fragile edges of your sense of worth. The cold absence of acknowledgement is like stepping onto a fragile ice sheet, each unanswered message, each ignored glance, threatening to fracture the trust you have in yourself. And here's the cruel twist. People who ignore often do so not out of malice, but out of fear, avoidance, or emotional incapacity. Their silence is not about you. It is about their inability to respond. Yet your brain cannot parse that in the moment. To your mind, the message is clear: you are invisible. You have felt this too, the slow, sinking weight of waiting for acknowledgement that never comes. The mind begins to ruminate. The body tenses. You replay conversations, imagining what you said wrong, what tone you might have struck, what imperfection invited this withdrawal. Being ignored is emotional quicksand. The more you struggle against it, analyzing, pleading, hoping, the deeper you sink. And yet, paradoxically, the very act of noticing the quicksand is also what can save you. Awareness becomes the first lifeline. Picture this: a room filled with voices, yet yours echoes in a vacuum. Each echo asks for recognition. Each echo is met with stillness. And still, you notice the tiny things: a glance, a half smile from a stranger, a remembered kindness from years ago. These fragments become anchors. They remind you that silence is not the totality of your existence. Silence in relationships, at work, in friendships, it is a signal. A signal you are meant to interpret, not internalize. And as you learn the language of being ignored, you begin to untangle your worth from the presence or absence of another's response. You may not realize it, but your brain is already rewriting the story. Neuroscientists call it social pain circuitry. The same areas that light up when we feel physical pain activate when someone ignores us. Your anterior cingulate cortex, responsible for detecting threats, screams danger, even if the threat is nothing more than another person's silence. You have felt it, that sudden clench in your stomach, the racing thoughts, the self-reproach. The moment someone withdraws from you, your body goes on high alert. Heart rate rises, muscles tense, cortisol spikes. And for a brief, terrifying instant, it feels primal. Your mind whispers, you are being rejected. You are unsafe. You are alone. It is biological. It is unavoidable. And yet, it is also misunderstood. Because the person ignoring you might not intend harm, but your nervous system cannot tell the difference. It reacts as if survival is at stake. Silence has become a weapon, even when it was never meant to be. Silence is the loudest form of betrayal because it distills abandonment into its purest form. Words can be cruel, actions can hurt, but silence feels like deliberate erasure. It says, you do not exist to me in this moment. You have experienced this, haven't you? That email left unanswered. That friend who doesn't reply. That partner who suddenly retreats. And what makes it worse is that the world has taught you to rationalize, to excuse, to minimize your pain. Maybe they are busy. Maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I am imagining it. But deep down, you know the truth. Being ignored doesn't just bruise your pride. It shakes your identity. It challenges your very understanding of connection and trust. And when repeated over time, it leaves invisible scars, the kind that whisper in your quiet moments, I am not enough. I am not worthy of attention. And here is the subtlety few recognize as silence can be a tool of control. It manipulates your mind into compliance, into overthinking, into seeking validation from someone who refuses to give it. It is emotional coercion disguised as absence, and you may have fallen into this trap without ever naming it. Yet there is hope, because awareness is the first step toward liberation. The second is choice. You can choose how to respond to silence without surrendering your sense of self. Imagine a vast ocean. Silence may crash over you like waves, threatening to pull you under. But within you is an anchor, the part of you that knows your worth, independent of external validation. The more you drop that anchor, the less the waves dictate your state of mind. You can practice naming the experience without judging it. I feel unseen, I feel hurt. And this is valid. You can honor your vulnerability without giving away your power. You can cultivate a presence that is not dependent on reciprocity but rooted in self-respect. And here is the secret. The people who ignore you are not always your enemies. They are mirrors. They reflect back the places you have let your worth become conditional on external acknowledgement. By seeing the psychology of being ignored, you learn to reclaim your emotional sovereignty. No longer will silence dictate your value. No longer will withdrawal feel like betrayal you must internalize. The moment you recognize the patterns, the moment you name the pain, you begin to transform it, from quicksand into foundation, from absence into clarity, from invisibility into power. You've lived through it. the quiet that cuts deeper than words ever could. But naming the experience is the first act of freedom. Say it aloud in your mind, in your journal. I am feeling ignored. I am feeling hurt. I am feeling unseen. You might feel foolish at first, as if acknowledging silence gives it more power. But here's the paradox: naming the pain disarms it. It transforms invisible wounds into something tangible, something you can confront rather than something that confronts you. Imagine yourself holding a small, jagged stone. Before you name it, it cuts you whenever you move. Once you identify it, you can examine it, learn from it, and set it down when ready. Naming is your first boundary. It's your acknowledgement that you are here, and your feelings matter, even when someone else refuses to recognize them. Silence can feel like control, but control doesn't have to be theirs to hold. You can build emotional boundaries, not to punish, but to protect your inner world. You have felt the anxiety of waiting for a response that may never come. You have felt the urge to apologize for existing. The antidote is simple, yet radical. You do not owe anyone your energy. Your worth is not contingent on recognition. Your presence is not defined by response. Imagine your heart as a garden. When someone ignores you, it's as if weeds creep in, threatening your peace. Boundaries are the fence you build, not to wall yourself off from the world, but to ensure your garden thrives. Water it with self-compassion. Fertilize it with validation from within. Tend to it with care, and let the weeds of neglect fall away. Sometimes, reclaiming your power means stepping away from the silence altogether. This is not defeat. It is courage. You have felt the pull to chase someone who refuses to meet you halfway. But chasing only deepens the void. Walking away, even temporarily, is an act of self-respect. It tells your nervous system, I am safe. I am enough. I am seen by myself. Imagine leaving a dimly lit room where your voice echoes back unanswered. As you step into the sunlight, the shadows recede. You breathe. You remember the warmth of your own presence. And in that act of stepping away, you reclaim what silence tried to steal: your autonomy, your peace, your identity. Being ignored is more than a moment of pain. It is a teacher. Each instance of silence exposes what you value, where you seek validation, and how you relate to connection. You have felt the sting. You have felt the doubt. Now, you can let it inform you rather than define you. Ask yourself, what does this teach me about my boundaries? My worth? My need for acknowledgement? The most profound transformation happens when you realize your worth was never dependent on their recognition. Silence may feel like betrayal, but it also holds a gift. The gift of reflection, self-awareness, and the courage to cultivate relationships where reciprocity is real and presence is wholehearted. And one day, when someone finally meets your voice with listening, with acknowledgement, with attention, you will appreciate it not as entitlement, but as the sacred recognition of two souls choosing to show up fully for one another. So, the next time you feel ignored, remember, silence is loud, but it does not define you. The quietest betrayals are also the clearest teachers. You have the power to name it, to set boundaries, to step back, to transform the pain into wisdom. And in doing so, you honor the one voice that must always matter, your own. Because in the end, reclaiming your voice is not just survival. It is liberation. And liberation is magnetic. It calls to those who will meet you with presence, respect, and love. Your silence will no longer echo unanswered. Your worth will no longer depend on another. And in that space, you are finally, unequivocally free.